Yo, what's up? Welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about 3 signs that it might be time to give up marijuana. Stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of Sobriety University. This channel is designed to help people get free from substance abuse, quit addictions of all kinds, from food, sugar, sex, money, spending, alcohol, marijuana. Today we're going to be focusing specifically on pot, and in particular 3 signs that it might be time to let it go, or that maybe it's trying to work its way out of our life. And the sooner we can heed these signals, the sooner we can become free of this substance and start to live the new life that we kind of maybe want or picture or have heard about. So there's another video on this channel very similar, and it's basically about alcohol. So 5 signs that it might be time to start giving up drinking. That video will be linked in the description. Highly recommend checking it out for anyone that is having kind of the same thing but with alcohol, or alcohol as well as marijuana, because sometimes the two can be intermingled pretty well. So number 1 is going to be isolation. So I think this is one of the ones that really brings people into recovery, is just that maybe it started out where you were able to smoke and you got to hang out with friends, and it was maybe sometimes for a lot of people it's the first time they had some social anxiety drop and they were able to kind of be themselves around other people, and it's like a super exciting process and experience. And so we're not trying to say that to try to dismiss it, that it wasn't maybe amazing. However, over time, as the drug stops working as well as it did at the beginning, and we build up more of a tolerance, it can be really easy to start to want to just kind of smoke and go hang out in our beds, watch movies, and just kind of very slowly, it's very sneaky, we just start to kind of separate from society a little bit. And that includes our friends and family, and maybe one day we just wake up and we're like, wow, I'm just by myself all the time just wanting to smoke weed, when what I really want deep down is to be around other people and to have great relationships and stuff. And I had that at once, but now it's gone. And why is it gone? And possibly it could be because of the weed, and it just has become such it's so easy to get in the smoking comfort zone. So that might be a good sign that maybe in the future, if we want relationships again, to kind of break out of our social anxiety and in our isolation, that it might be time to start thinking about letting go of marijuana and trying something new. So that's number 1. Number 2 is it just doesn't work anymore. This one's kind of subtle as well, I would say, actually. So again, at first, maybe when we start smoking, we just got super ripped, and we're just oh, it's just ecstasy high all the time, laughing, giggling and stuff. Maybe a year or 2 down the road, though, it's not like that anymore. It becomes where we have to smoke just to function in our daily life and just to feel some baseline of normal. And that's kind of a bit of a red flag that maybe that the weed isn't really working anymore, and that it's time to let it go. And I think this can be especially obvious when we've actually given ourselves time to take breaks, like tea breaks, and we come back and maybe again we're trying to relive that initial first year of smoking where we would get high all the time. And even after breaks, we still don't get high maybe an hour for the first couple of days after a week break, and then just before we know it, it's back to having to smoke constantly just to even get a little tiny buzz. I can remember when I was towards the end of my using days and smoking days, I would wake up and I literally rip 3 joints from the get-go, and I would feel absolutely nothing. And that was I couldn't really recognize at the time that that maybe I'd built up too strong of a tolerance. It literally didn't work anymore. And that, I think a part of that was because I was using concentrates a lot. So maybe my weed tolerance was just kind of at its max, and that can be another thing too, for those that are smoking dabs and doing hash and stuff. Once that doesn't work anymore, that's kind of a real big sign that, okay, I don't know what to do anymore. I can't get high anymore. I gotta it's just not, maybe it's not for me, and that can be a really hard thing to accept. So if that's what you're going through, just know, like, I understand. You're not alone. Other people understand it with you. Like, it's a really scary place when our daily how do I say, thing to keep us going just stops, and it's just like, it can be really frustrating and kind of confusing. Thankfully though, we have recovery and sobriety, and we can kind of dive into that, and there is hope that we can overcome whatever we're in with our current addiction, and really, we might not know what will come. We never know what's going to come. We just kind of have stories and kind of have ideas. I do promise though that it was much better than being in that lonely, isolated, smoking roaches, not getting high state. Like, so much better. So that's number 2. Number 3 is financial. So we're spending a ton of money on weed. So this one is, I think, it of course depends on our financial situation. I didn't have too much money. I was kind of spending everything I had, paycheck after paycheck, on weed. And that's what a lot of people go through. Maybe you're going through that right now. Like, you kind of want to, you like gotta be saving up for rent, but it's just like, you just have that voice that's like, dude, we gotta get high. We can't like not have weed. Like, we need to put that above everything else. And one thing I talked about in another video is like a hierarchy of needs, and how when we're in addiction, our addiction is at the very top, and everything else comes below it, including food, rent, relationships, keeping ourselves healthy. And it's just one of the insidious things about addiction that is just so powerful. It just can really just make us forget almost about what we need to survive on a day-to-day basis. And one day we can find ourselves just kind of everything below us has fallen, and what we're left with is just that one thing that we've been obsessed about. And sometimes once that falls away, we're really left with not much. Just kind of, that's what a lot of people call a rock bottom. So what's amazing about recovery is that starts to switch. So when we start quitting, the weed becomes at the very, very bottom, and all our health, mental health, relationships, that stuff starts to become number 1. And recovery is obviously at the very top of that. And then it's just like the funnel reverses, and we get to, and obviously when we're working on ourselves and being healthy and doing all that stuff, focusing on our financial well-being and stuff, like, no doubt that's going to have an amazing trickle effect. So instead of having one thing at top and a bunch of things crumbling at the bottom, we have a lot of great things on top and a bunch of things not crumbling at the bottom, because it's just like it's like a funnel of well-being and energy and positivity and stuff. And so that's something to look forward to, and kind of something to give some motivation to maybe quit. Like a lot of things will improve. That's like hands down. Like when we're in it, it can really be kind of make us think like, this is it. Like, if I give up weed, I'm done for. There is nothing left to life besides what my smoking. And I think we learn pretty quickly that that's not the case. There's just an amazing world, and it just starts to open up once we get a little while away from the weed, and the pot fog starts to go away and stuff, and we start to get through some of those physical withdrawals. It's amazing. So keep that in mind for anyone that's like having some doubts about wanting to quit or thinking that it's the right move. Back to the financial, just it's very expensive, and it can kind of suck up our resources and our hard work, and it's just something to think about too. Another reward of getting clean and sober is that we get to have a little more money. We're not spending it on stuff anymore. That being said, I know shopping addiction is a thing, and I've definitely in my day have turned to spending and buying to kind of ease that nervousness I feel, and I've had to work through that. When I was smoking though, and in the midst of it, I couldn't think about that stuff. It was all about, how do I get my next bag? How do I save up and scrounge out pennies in the couch so I can afford more weed? And it just was a pretty vicious cycle, and I was really left with nothing in the end financially. And looking back, I could kind of see like, wow, like had I stopped earlier, which I can't, I would have a lot more money now, and that's just something I have to accept. And it was one of the consequences of addiction. Thankfully, though, we can stop that today and start rewiring that karma, rewiring the financial karma that we have, and really kind of start working towards some financial goals, which it feels really good. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. For anyone watching, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. We're going to be coming out with tons of videos on different addictions and substance abuse and how we can overcome this stuff together. It's an amazing journey, and just commend you for coming in and being willing to listen and put in the work and kind of be honest with yourself about some of these things that can be very painful to look at. We have one-on-one coaching. Feel free to email in the description. This can be for anyone that maybe is having some doubts about going into the recovery community and just kind of wants like someone to talk to on like a personal level, and that can be really helpful too, just to kind of like I know for me I do better with one-on-one situations than in groups. In terms of like being intimate and vulnerable and stuff, it's just less pressure, and so especially when we're beginning to quit and stuff, it can be really important to have that. It can be really hard to want to get out in a group of a lot of people and express ourselves. That can take some time to work up towards. So in one-on-one coaching, we definitely work towards that, and like building up that self-esteem and that confidence to get out there and start like sharing ourselves with other people. So yeah, again, feel free to hit me up in the link down below. And tomorrow we're going to be talking, I think, some more about alcohol, and then eventually diving into food stuff, because yeah, we all got to eat. So again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and talk to you in the next one. Peace.